Welcome to Fun with Failure. This is your host Palabeard because Dallas stinks. He doesn't know how to do it right. That's why I'm doing it, because I know how to talk to my ladies and gentle sirs. So thank you for joining me for Fun with Failure's TIFU. We've got 7 mistakes from people who don't know how to do things.
That's not true, it's just mistakes. Everybody does them, even you.
No, I don't, stupid idiot. Let's go ahead and do this. I'm getting bored.
Story number 1, rotting turkey. I need to tell you all a story about why I smell like rotting meat. I have a big chest freezer in my basement, and last year when turkeys were cheap for Thanksgiving, I picked up an extra one and I put it in there. A few weeks ago I noticed a smell coming from that area, and it turns out my cat, or kid, who knows, had accidentally bumped it and unplugged the freezer. In horror, we turned it back on, and we got everything out, and into the trash, except the turkey. Because we live in the country, and we don't want to put it out until right before the trash came, so we don't attract coyotes. Yes, this is a legitimate concern at my house. I know, right? And then I forgot the dang turkey. Until yesterday, when the smell had finally busted through the freezer, hitting my nostrils. With something akin to a scent I envision a bag full of buttholes might have on a muggy summer day. I ran downstairs to grab the stupid thing. At this point, even coyotes aren't going to eat it, and its putrid turkey juices had frozen it solid to the floor of the freezer. Since there's nothing else in there, I unplugged it, assuming a few hours later I could plop that stink bloom of meat loose. But nope, still stuck. Always one to make a bad situation worse, I decided to dump a pot of hot water in there, and hopefully it would loosen up the death grip that turkey corpse had on the freezer. This was a mistake. While it did not loosen the frozen seal, it did create some sort of filth brew, like the devil himself had made a turkey ooze brine in my basement freezer. Desperate, I huddled next to the meat sludge with a hairdryer. But all that did was cook the aforementioned death broth, sending its putrid aroma off in great billows gasping up the stairs, through the air ducts and between the walls. It was about this time that the neighbor kids stopped by, and when they opened the door they said, Oh, why does your house smell like that? By now the smell had embedded itself into my house, and also in my hair, my skin, and probably my very soul. It's so deep in my nostrils that even fresh air smells like death brine. By 8:30 p.m., that turkey had won the day. I left the freezer to thaw more, hoping I'll be able to wrench it loose the next day. I woke up early the next day. I bought 2 Glade scented candles, 4 things of Odoban, Febreze, trash bags, and a bag full of rock salt. Why the rock salt, you might ask? Because the stank brine actually froze overnight. Frozen solid in my freezer that I had left turned off with the lid open for 24 hours. How? And where was this tenacious freezing ability when it got unplugged the first time? I was baffled and impressed. So now the turkey was stuck in its own stink brine iceberg, like some kind of horrific twist on the Sword in the Stone. I poured salt on that bad boy to loosen the ice, and I waited. Also, fun fact, if you light clean linen scented candles to mask the smell of rotting meat, your house just ends up smelling like you stuffed a decaying animal with a lot of dryer sheets. Several hours later, the smell becomes unbearable. I grab a shovel and I plunged it into the icy hell broth, using it as a pry. In the process, I dented the heck out of that freezer liner. My husband was mad, but I didn't care since at this point, I'm planning on throwing away not only just the freezer, but the dang house. The shovel didn't work, and the festering went on. The smell escalated. I had an idea, a horribly awful idea. Technically, only the turkey wrap was stuck. If I were to cut away the plastic and free the rotting bird from the frozen womb, I could end this. Before I could talk myself out of it, I took a deep breath and I plunged my bare hands into the package, tugging on the foul carcass. My hands burned in the cold, and for one horrifying moment, I thought I'd ripped it in half. Foul yellow jelly coated my hands, and the smell burned my eyes. I gave one final pull, powered by sheer adrenaline, and it came loose. I stuck the green, yellow, and purple lump of flesh in a bag, and I ran as fast as I could to the trash outside. It was done, but I will never feel clean again. Now began the slow and painful path towards being whoever I will be after this. Because seeing a thing like this, smelling a thing like this, it changes a person. I'm probably gonna get a t-shirt made, or maybe a tattoo or something to mark this struggle. Is this why those guys in prison have tattooed teardrops on their face? Probably. I'll figure it out. The real icing on this cake of meat stank though? I'm a vegetarian. I wouldn't have eaten the dang bird anyway. I just got it to feed my meat-loving family. Tofu would have never done me dirty like this. Story number 2. Song of Sadness. This took place a few weeks ago, and is quite a peculiar case. So, I'm in high school, and we're doing a science test. I finished the test early, and I have a decent amount of time to waste. I start drawing little pictures, as one does, but that didn't satisfy my boredom, so I decided I should keep myself busy by writing something. But what should I write? I decided to write the lyrics of a song that I knew, word for word, Fireflies by Owl City. So I'll write it on the back, in a big wall of writing. As I barely finish writing the last line of the song, the tests are handed in. I write in brackets, not part of the test, because for some reason, I thought my science teacher would think I was answering one of the questions with a song. 2 days go by, and I'm once again in science class. Eventually, an unfamiliar face comes in, and they pull me out of class. He says we're just gonna have a talk. We arrive in a small room and he sets me down. At this moment I realize I've been sent to the school counselor, and I try to piece together what I've done to be sent here, and then he pulls out my old science test, and he shows it to me, and he says he wants to talk to me about the poem I wrote. He says that it was well written, but also quite concerning. He asked if I've been having trouble at home, or any thoughts of hurting myself. At this moment, I'm in shock. I then have to explain my poem is just a popular song from 2009. He looks at me with confusion. Then he gets out his phone and looks up Fireflies by Owl City. He then listens to the lyrics, and he realizes they're exactly the same. He then apologizes, and he takes me back to class. The story ends there, right? Wrong. My science teacher is still not convinced, and he thinks I'm depressed, always checking up on me and asking if I'm okay. I messed up again recently as well. During class, he told us that heart conditions were genetic, and both my parents have heart conditions. So I sarcastically remark out loud, "My parents have heart conditions. Can't wait until I have one." He makes strong eye contact with me and says, "Don't think like that." He pulls me aside after class, and he suggests that maybe I should see the counselors regularly. I try to explain that we have another misunderstanding. He says that he might have too. So now I'm at risk of being sent regularly to the counselor, all because of Fireflies. I'm surprised that my science teacher nor my counselor have actually heard the song. It was quite popular. Story number 3. My date's a knockout. So yesterday was Valentine's Day, and I've been seeing a girl who used to wrestle when she was younger. I was a wrestler for 10 years, and we both knew this. So we were drunk last night, and we started messing around on the couch. We're just using moves on each other, and I'm winning with ease. We do this for a while, and it's all fun and games, until she says, "I bet I could beat you in a standing position." We were both pretty trashed at this point, so we stand up in our living room, and we start to face off. We tie up with each other, and instinct kicks in. So I sprawl and slam her head down on the hardwood floor. I spin around behind her, and then I realize she isn't moving. At this point, I realize I just screwed up. She was out for like 10 seconds. She comes to, and she has a huge black and blue knot over her eyebrow. I'm feeling like a gigantic piece of crap. And after a couple of seconds, she laughs it off and she says it's okay. Now, she's a nursing student, so when she had clinicals the next day, she got herself checked out, and she's good to go. For those concerned, we hung out again last night, and we made up for it. That was a close one. Story number 4. Deleting number 1. This happened just now. I've been in quite a low mood lately because of my job. Usually when I get depressed, I start doing dishes, dusting my rooms, or whatnot. And not because I like keeping things clean, but removing my, so to say, traces are a small subconscious obsession of mine. See, since I'm not under a huge load of work at the time, it suddenly occurs to me that checking my email's accounts folder and terminating the ones I don't use anymore would be a nice idea, both out of privacy-related paranoia and just for the heck of it. Thing is, I used to have an Imgur account a long time ago. Please don't bully me. So I decided to delete it as well. But that doesn't seem quite possible to do in a traditional way, since I didn't get it by registering at the service directly. I'll admit all the private details as I went through my browser, but I somehow got the long-awaited notification confirming the fact that my account had been discontinued. So I pretty much forgot about it, but little did I know. Later in the day, I got back to browsing some picture subreddits, and I noticed that some Imgur post linked to the page suggested me to delete the image, although it wasn't submitted by me. In addition to that, I still seem to be logged in, although no username seems to show up right at the top of the drop-down menu. Being a complete idiot, after checking and confirming with a few more links, I decided to Google the #1 Reddit post of all time, which, of course, is a link to a post on Imgur. Yeah, the one about the Senate, with a huge total of 310k uproots. I open it to see the tempting red button suggesting me to praise Satan himself. Of course, Imgur won't allow me to do that. Those buttons probably don't work, do they? It can't be this bugged, right? I haven't clicked one by then, yet. So I clicked the button. And see the title of this TIFU? I'm sorry, I didn't want to. Please forgive me, everyone. I'll commit sodoku before the shame befalls on the name of my forefathers. If someone from Imgur sees it here, please report it to who it would be most appropriate. Story number 5, Cross Country Screw Up Award. So this mess up happened yesterday, and I'm still saying to myself, oh my god, every time I think about it. This past Saturday, our school's girls cross country team won state, and because of that, they earned everyone a pep rally. The night before, someone asked if anyone wanted to run the flag, and I happily volunteered, because that's a super dope job. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Well, here's exactly what went wrong. The pep rally is in motion. The cross country team starts pouring down from the stands to lead the school cheer. This is exactly when you should do the flag run. So I start hauling out and narrowly avoiding plowing into one girl, and I make my way around the crowd. I am caught up in the buzz of the moment, and then all of a sudden, I'm going down hard. All that was going through my head is siren noises, and me thinking, I should just die now. But unfortunately, that never came to fruition, and it got worse. I saw what I tripped on and destroyed. The state trophy. The one that we just won. And the one from last year. Now I'm a bit more famous around the school. Now when kids come around and see me in the hallway, they say, "Oh my god, you're the kid who broke the trophy, right?" Well, rest in peace, my dear reputation. Story number 6. Sound travels at the speed of... Oh crap! This isn't actually my mistake, but I thought it was hilarious. This happened about 3 days ago. For a little background, I'm a woman in my 20s. I'm working, going to school, living with my mother. Neither of us can afford the cost of living alone, but together we do quite well. We live on a second floor in a U-shaped apartment building, and we're set up in the corners. The doors are all clustered together under one covered area with a set of stairs. My downstairs neighbors hate me, and as she has an unpleasant personality, I'm not bothered by that. Now here's her screw up. I was on my deck smoking when my downstairs neighbor and other neighbor were also sitting out and chatting. We couldn't see each other, but as the setup works like a freaking amplifier, everyone can hear everything. As I was quietly smoking my cigarette, I hear my downstairs neighbor begin to talk crap about me to the other neighbor. What a witch. But I didn't say anything. People had their opinions, whatever. Then my mother starts emptying the filter of the Dust Devil, banging the thing on the edge of the garbage can. The other neighbor just casually calls up, "Hey, yes, is that you making that noise?" And seeing some opportunity for some fun, I say, "Yep." The downstairs neighbor promptly says, "Oh crap," and goes back running into her apartment. She hasn't looked me in the eye since. I have never laughed so hard after being insulted in my life. Story number 7, Whey Too Gross. I have just realized that recently, my excessive consumption of whey protein, it has been causing me to have some flatulence issues. I fully believe that this incident was a result of my questionable diet. This happened yesterday, while I was working in the office. I share this office with my line manager. I had been silently farting all morning, and just hoping that the smell wouldn't reach him. If he had noticed, he didn't say anything, not at this point anyway. Toward lunchtime, my stomach was making some very dodgy sounds, and I suspected something more than a fart would be coming along. So I marched out of the office to the bathroom. My caution was warranted, because as soon as I sat on the toilet, my butt let out a stream of liquid poo. As I finished wiping, I got off the seat, and I was about to pull up my underpants, when I felt something on the side of my leg with my hand. Looking at it, I saw that it was brown, and I looked down. So was the whole section of the seat and the back of my left leg. Gross. After spending like 5 minutes wiping it all away, I pulled up my underpants and trousers, and I thoroughly washed my hands before going back to my desk. Close call. Fast forward to this afternoon. We were getting ready to go into the team meeting when my line manager asked what that smell was. I sheepishly explained that I've been farting all day. It was pretty embarrassing. Before the meeting, I decided to use the bathroom again to be sure that I wouldn't be caught short. These meetings could go 2 hours with no room for toilet break. On sitting and pulling down my trousers, I saw it. A prominent layer of dry crusted poo on the rim of the back of my trousers. How did I miss that? In a panic, I knew I needed to get these clean before the big meeting. Outside the stall there were other colleagues though. So what do I do? Without getting off the seat, I dipped a clump of toilet paper in the clean toilet water. It took some work to get rid of it, thank goodness. Unfortunately, in my haste, I splashed water into the inside of my trousers. Despite trying to dry it with some more toilet paper, the wet patches wouldn't go away. At this point, seeing the time, I just had to bite the bullet and head out into the meeting. Having all the eyes on me for being late was one thing. Having them on my wet crotch, was significantly worse. Story number 8. Wait a minute. I thought you said it was 7 stories.
I did everything you told me to. Now, you must have miscounted or something.
Whatever. Story number 8. Alarmed. The middle school that I went to was 2 stories tall. It had a media center on the 2nd floor, and the media center had 3 double doors. One of the double doors was an emergency door, and the other 2 weren't. And sometimes they'd have the emergency doors open, but not usually. This happened when I was in 8th grade, around 2011 to 2012. I just had lunch, and then I had science. After lunch, I went to the science class, but no one was there yet. Then I went to the media center to check if anyone from my class was in there, because sometimes we went to the media center instead. When I went to the media center, I went through the right double doors. Then I walked from the right to the left, so I can check if anyone was in there from my class, but none of them were. After I went left, I tried to go through the emergency doors. Since they were the closest doors to me, I didn't think they were locked or that anything would happen, but if I knew what was going to happen next, I wouldn't have tried. When I tried to go through, they were locked, but not only were they locked, the fire alarm went off. Everyone in the media center was looking at me confused. It was very embarrassing. After that, I went back to science class hoping the whole incident would be quickly forgotten. The next day after school, however, one of my teachers found out I tried to go through the emergency doors and told me to go through the other doors unless it's a fire emergency. Even after 6 years, I can still remember the embarrassment that caused. Thank you very much for joining me for this edition of TIFU Fun with Failure. If you like these stories, please leave me a thumbs up.
Hey, stop doing that. I think you're doing it wrong. Why don't you let me do it? You sound so stupid.
Fine, have it your way.
Yeah, you should probably like this because, make them feel bad if you don't. Make them feel less like a loser. Subscribe for more. Maybe I'll stop being stupid. Well, until next time, I'll try to teach him how to treat a lady.